All right, Bulls and Bears, how's everybody doing? Back with another dose. We've got insanity breaking loose in the U.S. We've got part of the country under a deep freeze, even southern states. We've got California, Los Angeles, specifically with unprecedented wildfires, folks. This is nuts. It's insane. We're going to tie it in with the financial impacts and, of course, the economy. Inflation is going to have a major uptick because of this and in certain areas, but not just California. And I'm going to explain that here later in this report. But first, the markets are shrugging off the central bank, saying that the inflation fight is not over. Of course, we knew that. We told it here for years. But now it's news today that the central bankers are out there admitting that not enough has been done, or the results have not been what they wanted as far as the quote unquote fight against inflation. So let's get into that first. Then we'll talk about the fire situation, the rents, home prices, affordability, insurance costs, especially impacting this. Bring it up here first, though. This article, CNBC, Fed officials worried about the impact of the tariffs. New minutes. So now they do have a scapegoat. This was implemented just at the right time as people were noticing that inflation was continuing to be a big problem for most budgets, most household budgets. Now they can blame the tariffs, but could it be the tariffs will make it worse? All right. And even if it does help, if other factors are causing prices to remain elevated, like the endless bank funding that we see in this country now, and no reserves required for the banks, inflation could go up because of that. And maybe it won't be the tariffs, but could the tariffs still get the blame? Policymakers said they'll move more slowly on interest rate cuts due to the uncertainty. Minutes of the meeting showed, that's the Fed minutes. For those of you that watched it, you already know this. I watched part of it. And I've mentioned this before. I actually do think tariffs are going to be more inflationary. There's this hope and this plan to bring a bunch of jobs back to the U.S., because what they're saying is basically these companies that are offshoring or just importing things to the United States or exporting from those countries, they're saying that that's going to encourage companies to bring jobs back. But that's a long time, folks, for a company to get set up and shut down their other locations in other countries and come back here to the U.S. You're talking several years. And some of these companies may not even do it within the 4 years. And then what's going to happen in 4 years from now, everything's going to flip back to the other side. And it's just going to continue, folks. So I don't really see a big solution in this. But at least the Fed is admitting now that the battle isn't done, to use their words, against inflation. Of course, we all knew here that was obvious. It should have been obvious to the policymakers who started cutting rates, thinking that inflation was on target or going towards the 2% target. But even the 2% target, folks, it's a joke because 2% is still inflation, right? Again, we need deflation. Most of you know this. They can't allow deflation. Why? Because that destroys the illusion of a growing economy, because when prices start dropping, that means people have pulled back on their spending. And it usually means banks stop loaning out money, like the financial crisis. So, folks, that's the last thing they want. They would rather have inflation versus any sort of correction or deflation. All right, let's move on to the fire situation, folks, here in California, Los Angeles. I'm fine in San Diego. No fires down here. 1,000 homes destroyed already. The Inferno 0% contained. They're calling this an apocalyptic scene in LA. LAPD warns against looting because once this starts, once people evacuate, then you have to worry about people coming into your home. Residents are ripping the mayor, who was out of the country. The most destructive in history, what they're calling devil winds. The winds were so strong, they're calling them devil winds. 1 million plus people without power. Folks, these are just the headlines I'm getting off of a news aggregate site here, The Drudge. Hydrants run dry. Hydrants run dry, folks. This is very, very strange. Look at a state like Arizona. Even drier than California, way more dry than California. But we're not seeing the crazy fires in Arizona like we're seeing here. Now, some say that's just because there's less vegetation there because it's desert. But there's a lot of mountains in Arizona too. Northern Arizona, Flagstaff, with a lot of huge trees and even less rain than California. It's just strange that we're not seeing the same things happen in Arizona, and maybe there will be in the near future, but it's just very strange. Then you've got half the country under a deep freeze, especially the southern states, while these fires are raging here in California. So, folks, it's very, very unusual. I told you things were just going to get worse on this front. The financial impacts, folks, no one's going to be able to afford insurance here if this keeps going. I mean, we already had insurance companies pulling out of California. In fact, look at this out of Business Insider. Insurers dropped fire coverage for California homes months ago. Now wildfires are claiming more houses in Los Angeles. How many of these people self-insured, or they chose not to have insurance, or they couldn't get insurance? So they just rolled the dice, so to speak, hoping that there wouldn't be a fire, right? And maybe these people that self-insured that chose not to have insurance, they chose to stay in California. Do they have enough money put away to just build a new house? Do they have that much money? Because if you have enough money set aside to just come in and rebuild the house, you still own the land, then you're not as worried. But that's not true for most people. You know, we'll go back to that 70% living paycheck to paycheck number. Most people can't self-insure, so they're scraping by, and therefore they have to buy insurance, because if there is a loss, they can't afford to just rebuild by paying out of pocket. Most people just don't have nearly enough in the bank. Not that. I mean, look at 4% is the saving. 4.4% is the savings rate right now. That's how much percentage of their income they have left over at the end of the month after paying for all their ongoing costs. So, folks, it's going to get worse. Insurance companies are going to be pulling out of California, but we've got new regulations now that are going to be hopefully bringing some insurance companies back, but they're going to be raising their rates like mad. And some of you say, well, I'm not in California, it doesn't affect me. It will. You know, all those California license plates you've been seeing in your state over the past few years, because so many people were leaving California, you're going to see a lot more California license plates coming into your neck of the woods, especially if you're in Oregon, Texas, that's a big one, Arizona, of course. People going to many different states, even all the way to the Midwest, Tennessee, states like that, back in Michigan, up north, Minnesota, Wisconsin. I know people have moved to all of those states from California just in the past few years. Now, combine the ongoing inflation with the AI workforce job cuts that are going to be coming up here. Here's how they put it at CNN. 41% of companies worldwide plan to reduce workforces by 2030 due to AI, folks. They're working very hard, very diligently to get rid of humans, to get the humans off their payroll, to not have to pay people. AI, robotics, folks, it's all being orchestrated right now. So people are going to be basically helpless and dependent on a handout. Not everybody. You're always going to have the people at the top that basically run things. But it's pretty scary, folks, when you think about the position that a lot of people will be in financially. And I have kids, so I think about this stuff all the time. I never used to before I had kids. I wasn't even into finance economics. I thought it was pretty boring. But then when you realize how things actually affect you, and then how things continue to get worse, it seems like, right? We used to have recessions and corrections and downturns that would sort of bring price levels back into reality, or what people can afford, like after the housing bust. Now it seems like they're bent on keeping the bubbles not just inflated, but getting bigger and bigger. And most of you know this, but we've got to talk about Netflix, folks. We're seeing a Netflix talk of a boycott, and some people are actually boycotting, but it's not large enough yet, I think, for Netflix to take notice. Maybe they are. We'll get into it here. But first, back to the fire situation. And then part of the country under dangerously cold air jolting the central, eastern half of the United States. Bitterly cold air will continue to plague the central and eastern states over the course of the upcoming week. I haven't heard from people from Texas that are getting a massive cold from massive cold temperatures. And some people hadn't used their heat in a long time, and they're finding out their heat's not working at this time here. So cold chill over here, fires over here. Cold chill over there, rather, fires over here. And here's the map. Look at this. Let me bring this up here. The chill is going all the way up here. You see, of course, Texas. You see New Mexico, Arizona. All the way up through the northeastern part of the United States, But the southern states, all the way up the East Coast, and states like Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, even in Tennessee, Nebraska. It's wild, folks. Louisiana. It's just very, very strange what's going on here. There's many different theories about what's behind it. But let's talk about Netflix, folks. People are starting to push back against Netflix. They continue to gain subscribers, it seems like, every time they come out with a report. But people are getting upset because Netflix is now charging for things they didn't used to charge for. Let me just play you a quick clip here. Take a listen to this. Let me go ahead and run this back here for you.
Has someone just offered to be the first boycott of 2025? Have you guys seen this? This is Netflix, and there's a lock on a certain show. If you're waking up to locks like this, it means one of two things. You're on the cheaper package or you're on an ad package. We knew that they were going to go to ad packages, but...
So what they did, for those that didn't know, Netflix went to a lower price tier, or they started offering a lower price tier, but you had to watch ads. But now, along with that, they're locking people out of certain shows. So now you're basically paying more and getting less. They're locking you out of certain shows. And I've seen this with Amazon. I have Amazon Prime, and I forget how much it is. I think it's like $140 a year now. I have auto pay. I don't even look at it anymore. But I have Amazon Prime because I like the fast shipping. And along with that, you get Prime Video. But you go to watch videos and on the app, on the Amazon Prime, what is it called? The streaming app, the video app. You go to play videos, and a lot of them have a lock on them. You have to pay extra, even though you're paying $100 plus something a year for Amazon Prime. And some people say, okay, if you don't like it, just cancel it. Well, I still think it's worth it because of the shipping, so I'm going to keep it. But not everybody feels that way. People that are really living paycheck to paycheck, and not that I'm rich, but people living paycheck to paycheck, they can't afford to pay more. And you start seeing a bunch of shows you want to watch, and all of a sudden you got to pay more for those. You start getting frustrated here. Let's continue, though, with the video with this person here.
Did they ever say that there was certain content that they weren't going to let us watch if we were on a lower tier? I don't recall that at all. Therefore, are they volunteering?
The lower tier was supposed to be just about ads, but now it's, we're locking out certain content as well.
To be the first boycott of 2025. Netflix took out cable, and they're going to become the head of the food chain when it comes to streaming companies. And if you don't understand, they will eventually get to $100 a month. They're going to keep going up until the public says enough is enough.
$100 a month for Netflix? No, I'd have to say no way before that. I'd be saying no at about $20.
Enough. Is this that moment? Is this when we push back? I mean, we've done it to Netflix in the past. Is it time to do it again? Who's with me? Let me know in the comments. Am I way off? Or is it time to launch the first boycott? Make sure you guys share this, and make sure you guys get this viral so that we can get the word out. Has someone just...
Will enough people follow suit, and will they be able to boycott this, right? It's like a union. A union, everybody gets together, everybody's on the same page. It's orchestrated, it's planned. They go on strike, whatever. Will these videos and people talking about this on social media be enough to get a big enough movement to cancel or boycott Netflix in order for Netflix to actually do anything, right? It's all about supply and demand. If people are still willing to pay, they're just going to continue to give you less and take more, kind of like shrinkflation. The package is getting smaller. Price is still rising, though. Shrinkflation in what you get even on video streaming platforms. Have you seen it with Netflix? Have you seen other streaming apps? Please let me know down in the comments. I see it all the time. Amazon Prime locking us out of certain shows. I have one called Tubi. Tubi's free. You just have to watch ads. And I don't recall them locking you out of any content. Then it's actually free. Maybe they'll start doing that as well on Tubi. Who knows? Also, still on the topic of Netflix, what Netflix did, was it a year, maybe 2 years ago now, they started restricting other devices from being used on the same account. So in other words, people that were sharing their account information or their password with their friends or relatives, they tried to crack down on that. The problem was sometimes people would travel and they would want to watch their Netflix account, maybe in their hotel, maybe they're at a relative's house, maybe they're somewhere else, and they want to watch it. But then Netflix was restricting those people because they figured that the customers were sharing their password with people they didn't want to share because they want those other people to buy or to pay for their own subscription. All right, let's move along a little bit here. A couple other things I wanted to get into. What do you think about Netflix? Let me know down in the comments, please. John Deere Autonomous Tractors, the legendary farm machinery company, the tractor maker John Deere. Autonomous tractors, folks, no farmer required. John Deere reveals new autonomous machines and technology at the 2025 conference. Driverless tractors are the answer to labor shortages, folks. Do you trust these tractors? I think we're going to see people getting run over on the farm, if you ask me. We saw that video of the car going around in circles in the roundabout, the autonomous car. Folks, I don't trust it. Plus, think if the car gets hacked. Imagine you're riding in one of these autonomous vehicles and somebody that doesn't like you hacks into it, and off you go to the side of the road into the ocean. Who knows? Interesting. What do you think about this autonomous vehicle stuff? Now it's tractors, folks. It gets crazier every day I look at the news. Moving on to real estate here. We're going to wrap it up with this, folks. Just what we said was going to happen. The real estate industry is being decimated. Realtors quitting left and right. And let me bring this article here. All right, the site that I wanted to read this from, Real Estate News, is got a paywall up there. I'm just going to read you the headline, though, that showed up in the search. National Association of Realtors lost 25,300 members during the month of December alone, folks. Over 25,000 just in December. So this is going to be, folks, when this is done, it's going to be in the hundreds of thousands. Will it be 1 million by the end of 2025? I mean, the transactions are so few and far between because the sales volume so low that a lot of these realtors are bailing out of the industry. And where are they going to work at when companies are trying to eliminate jobs? They're trying to get AI to take your jobs. And it's just going to get worse, folks. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. I hope you're doing well. If you're investing, if you are playing your cards right, hopefully you can still get through this and still be good, not be so stressed out about debt. I'm working some side hustles. I mentioned this before. I invest. I do this channel. I still work a regular job. I design things and sell them online at several different websites, t-shirts and stuff like that. Somebody was asking about Bull Boom merchandise, Bull Boom Bear Bus merchandise. I actually made a couple. I just haven't talked about it here in this channel. It's a small fraction of the people actually asking about it. So maybe 0.001% of the audience that I have asked about those. But some of the designs are all right. I might bring them out just to show you guys. But I sell them not just for people that watch the channel, just a general kind of a financial theme to some of the products that I design and sell. But I design all kinds of different stuff, and maybe we'll talk about it in the future here. Again, side hustle is what I'm doing to help get through this, and I have a family here in California. It's definitely not cheap, but hope you're doing well. Hope you're getting by and not too stressed out about the financial / cost of living situation, and maybe even benefiting from it. I look for stocks all the time that are overbought or underbought to try to take a position and do some investing. Don't invest as much as I used to because it's just busy, this channel and all that. So thanks everybody for watching. Really appreciate your support. It helps me, and I hope I'm helping you with the news and information. Hopefully it's helping you prepare and get ready for what's coming, because I don't see things getting easier for most people. So we got to be on top of our game, folks. Make sure you're subscribed, and we'll see you back here on this channel again very soon, hopefully. Big love. Bye for now. Peace.